Sri Lanka has defaulted on its debt for the first time in its history as the country struggles with its worst financial crisis in more than 70 years. Against this backdrop, a $1 billion international sovereign bond will mature on the 25th of July 2022, which was agreed to in 2012 by then Central Bank Governor Ajit Niwad Cabral and HSBC America. Hamilton Reserve Bank Limited, which holds more than $250 million of Sri Lanka's 5.875% international sovereign bonds due July 25th, filed the suit seeking full payment of principal and interest. According to the suit filed in court, Sri Lanka owes the plaintiff a total of $257 million, comprised of $250 million in principal and $7.3 million in interest. Hamilton Reserve Bank Limited demanded immediate payment of $257.5 million of principal plus interest, saying Sri Lanka had stopped servicing its sovereign debt and missed payments on two other bonds, causing a cross-default. It said that Sri Lanka had openly stated its inability to settle debt in February 2022. The complaint notes that Sri Lanka's default is being orchestrated by officials at the highest level of its government, and this includes the ruling Rajapaksa clan, whose members currently serve as President of Sri Lanka and in numerous other senior government positions. The court document also notes that the Rajapaksa family members have repeatedly been accused of lining their own pockets through years of corruption, also noting that former US government officials and investigative journalists have exposed that the Rajapaksa family has amassed a multi-billion-dollar fortune and hidden part of it in bank accounts in offshore jurisdictions such as Dubai, Seychelles and St. Martin. The complaint also goes on to note that US government documents report that in prior government appointments, US Sri Lanka dual citizen Basil Rajapaksa, quote-unquote, earned the nickname Mr. 10% for demanding a 10% commission on every project and makes a habit of trying to buy people. The complaint notes that Sri Lanka is not entitled to any immunity from jurisdiction.
Sri Lanka is once again making the rounds on international media platforms. This article published by Reuters say that more than 30 entities that hold bonds issued by Sri Lanka have now formed a group. The purpose of forming this group is to hold debt restructuring talks with Sri Lanka. Interestingly, they have hired Rothschild & Co. as their financial advisor. The second case relating to Sri Lanka involves a bank called Hamilton Reserve Bank Limited. Now, this bank, as you can see on its website, has its headquarters in St. Kitts and Nevis, which is one of the world's largest tax havens. This bank has filed a case at the US District Court in Manhattan. They are requesting the US court to issue an order directing the Sri Lankan government to repay its international sovereign bonds worth about $250 million along with the interest payments. These bonds had been issued by the central bank in 2012 when Ajit Niwad Cabral was serving as the central bank governor. In court documents, this bank has raised concerns and suspicion on whether Sri Lanka will be able to settle this international sovereign bond in July, because they point out that Sri Lanka had announced that it would default on its debt repayment, on its foreign debt repayment, even after settling the $500 million international sovereign bond in January this year. Now, in court filings, the Hamilton Reserve Bank Limited has raised multiple accusations. They have leveled multiple accusations against those in power here in Sri Lanka. In these court documents, they have said that Sri Lanka's debt default is being orchestrated by several senior officials in the Sri Lankan government. They have also accused the Rajapaksa family of hiding their wealth in countries like Dubai, Seychelles and St. Martin, which are often known as offshore jurisdictions or tax havens, if we can simplify it. Now, interestingly, in these court documents, this particular bank, Hamilton Reserve Bank Limited, has also referred to Basil Rajapaksa, Sri Lanka's former finance minister, as Mr. 10%. They cite several documents issued by the US. As a reason for this, they say that Basil Rajapaksa had earned that name, Mr. 10%, as a result of demanding a 10% commissions in all projects involving Sri Lanka. There are several Sri Lankan officials who are infamously linked to the term bonds here in Sri Lanka. This man onto my left is Arjuna Mahendran. He was the former governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. He is in fact a suspect in the central bank treasury bond scam that took place under the previous government. And this man on to my right, this is Ajit Cabral, the former governor of the central bank. In fact, he has held the position of central bank governor on multiple times, and it was during his tenure as the governor of the central bank in 2012 that Sri Lanka had issued international sovereign bonds to Hamilton Reserve Bank Limited. This is Ranil Wickremesinghe, the current Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. He, together with the former central bank governor, one of the former central bank governor, Arjuna Mahendran, caused billions of rupees in losses to the Employees Provident Fund when the central bank treasury bond scam was committed under the previous government. And this man on screen is Basil Rajapakse, Sri Lanka's former finance minister, who has been referred to in court documents as Mr. 10% for demanding commissions from all projects carried out by Sri Lanka involving the Sri Lankan government. Now, Hamilton Reserve Bank Limited, in its court filings, have accused the Rajapaksa clan of hiding wealth in several offshore jurisdictions. As a responsible and a democratic state, we never know whether the US will be able to seize the assets of several officials involved in corruption in order to repay the international sovereign bonds held by this particular Hamilton Reserve Bank Limited. We also do not know what sort of disrepute that this whole saga will bring to Sri Lanka, and if the US District Court in Manhattan issues an order instructing the Sri Lankan government to repay the international sovereign bond, we do not know how far Sri Lanka will be able to do that at a time when the country is facing a shortage of dollars. Only time will tell.
More than 30 asset managers holding Sri Lanka's international bonds announced the formal launch of a creditor group to start debt restructuring talks with the island nation. According to a statement from legal advisor White and Case LLC, Amundi Asset Management, BlackRock, HBK Capital Management, Morgan Stanley Investment Management and T. Rowe Price Associates Incorporated are among members of the group's steering committee, which has Rothschild & Co. as a financial advisor. The statement said that the group is broadly representative of Sri Lanka's bondholder base, both by type of institution and by geography, and holds bonds across each outstanding series. However, it did not specify the percentage of bonds it holds on the outstanding $12.6 billion overseas sovereign debt. Sri Lanka has hired heavyweight financial and legal advisors Lazard and Clifford Chance as it prepares for the difficult task of renegotiating its complex web of creditors, including bilateral lending from Japan, India and China. The creditor group said it was ready to engage in talks with both Sri Lanka's authorities and other creditors, adding that the country should, quote, implement a package of meaningful reforms and fiscal adjustments, unquote.